Okay, students, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on what time you are watching this video. Well, that's the magic of technology, right? So I decided to record this video. So more than part of the evaluation, it would be more part of the uh, for learning evaluation. It's more like the idea, the real idea of evaluation. So it is not part of the grade or the number. It is more just for you to take a look at the right answers and you to draw conclusions on how much you learned and if the reasons why you chose the right answers were, the reasons that were the right ones. So this is something that I just decided to do again, just to help you with the process and for one last chance to grasp like the general ideas of the class or the course. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through every item in the exam, and my suggestion is that you try to remember if these are the reasons why you chose that right answer. So let me start by sharing my screen. I'm going to share the exam with you. And you are going to see the exam exactly the same way you guys saw the exam when you took it, which is in different orders. Well, I'm not going to play the audios because you guys, you can play the audios at home. So let's start. The first one says, listen to this fragment of Ellie's interview and answer. According to him, the most distinctive feature of TBL is the one related to. So here, basically, what we need to remember, again, more than what Ellie says in the audio, is what is the most distinctive characteristic or feature of TBL. And I tend to have the feeling that you guys have that very clear in your heads. And the most distinctive is, and he says exactly that in the audio, is the use of own resources. And if you notice, I did not write the use of own linguistic resources because for TBL, all the resources are allowed and are part of the tools for communication. For example, one is the use of realia, which of course you can use in the classroom, in task-based learning, in problem-based learning, in project-based learning, etc. You can use realia in many other approaches or methods. Of course, there are some methods which require it. Focus on real communication. Well, not necessarily. Like this is very important in TBL, but it is the main focus of many other methods. This is why this is the second best answer. Okay, let's move on to the second one. It says, here you can see 4 words or phrases that represent the main 4 features of a task according to Ellis et al. One of them is not accurate and does not reflect any of those features. Choose the word or phrase that does not depict the feature, a feature of a task. It means that, as far as you guys remember, tasks have 4 main features. Those are like meaning is important. That is to say that it must be meaningful activity. It must be a meaningful task or a meaningful exercise, if you like. And there must be some negotiation of meaning. Outcome means that there must be an outcome. There must be a result of that. Result that usually resembles real life. For example, if the result is a list of verbs, then that wouldn't be an outcome. In this case, it wouldn't be an appropriate outcome. And of course, their own resources, and we already spoke about that. And then again, realia is not one of the main characteristics of a task. Now we have the question about holiday, and in the directions I said, or I previously said that you might need to Google a little bit, talk to your friends, etc. Holiday is a theorist of communicative language teaching. Remember that every method or approach usually supports its idea on a number of linguists. Like we cannot, like according to recent research, we cannot develop a method based on teachers, let's say, or like you know, or somebody who speaks English, or only somebody who can teach English. But also we need some theorists, and this is the case of Holiday. Holiday did what Fries did for audiolingualism, for example. Let's continue with the other one. Which of the following is the best example of an objective in a structural syllabus? I guess that this is one of the most tricky questions. Well, at least challenging questions. When I ask for a structural syllabus, many of them, I mean, many of the four that you see there might be considered structural. For example, in the first one, it says students will be able to use simple present to express their daily activities. Why is it not a merely structural syllabus objective? Because it tries to have students using the language for something which is real in real life, you know, something which happens in real life, which is express your daily activities, even though you said the simple present tense. So be careful, because the fact that you say simple present, simple past, the comparative, the superlative, is not enough to say that this is part of a structural syllabus. Because even though structural syllabus contain, of course, grammar topics, it is not enough. It is not enough, really. For example, this and the first one we say students will be able is kind of a can-do statement. Okay, and that is also important if you want to distinguish structural from non-structural syllabi. Students can understand directions and the city using prepositions. Again, it's the same story as the previous one. Even though you're using the word preposition, which is, which is kind of structural, it has the word understand, and also can, like it is a can-do statement, right? And then you are doing something which is practical in real life. Next, students understand dialogues where people explain the structure of a plan. Structure, just to make sure that you understand that structural is not directly related to the word structure in any case, in any sense, but only in the sense that structure it comes from the structuralism, you know, like Saussure and you know, like these trends. Students are able to put singular nouns into plural. Why is this structural? Because it does not reflect the use of real use of the language. You are not using the language in any sense. You only need to show, you only need to prove that you know how language works, but you're not using the language in any way. So that would be, you know, that would be the best example, because of course, in real life, you might find syllabi which are quite in the middle of two kinds of syllabi. Okay. Next, traditionally the most common way to measure achievement, proficiency in language learning has been the test. Even though, okay, that this is not part of the fragment. So when we say traditionally the most common way to measure achievement and proficiency in language learning has been the test, means, I mean, we are saying, according to this question, we are using test in the sense of test, assessment, and achievement, because the question says in many educational contexts, the words evaluation, test, and assessment are used interchangeably, and that's true. And everybody does that. I mean, when you guys talk to your friends and you say, hey, did you evaluate this topic in your class already? Of course, you are not making any distinction. Like you're not saying evaluating in the broader sense or in the particular sense, or according to this writer, or according to this writer. No, you are using it and like interchangeably, as I say. Well, but in this context, and the objective of this item was more to assess your understanding of language, you know, combined with content, as I said. Okay, there is a wide variety of actions we can carry out in the second language classroom to help students master the knowledge and develop skills and competences. But here we are talking about 3 tools or techniques that we have to develop, as I said, skills, let's say, competences in students and develop proficiency. And the 3 most common techniques that we have, I mean, of course, those are very general terms, and there are many sub-activities that you can use. Is activity, task. I'm reading the first one: activity, task, drill, exercise. And the idea was to organize them from the one that is most useful, to the one that is least useful, to develop communicative competence. I think I was clear about that. And also I used the expression, and I included the word 21st century classroom. Okay, so we are talking about what are the techniques that we use in the 21st century to develop these activities, these competences, sorry. And the answer was task, activity, exercise, and drill. Of course, here, I mean, I think that it was easy to find the answer, because you have task first as the one that is most effective, according to what I said, the most prominent scholars, etc. And finally, drill. Even if you don't necessarily agree, the other orders, do not match what everybody says, what every scholar says, or most of them say. Okay, 7. I think this was very interesting item, since you needed to focus on details. What is the most accurate definition of testing? Then the most accurate would be the second one, if I am not mistaken. But the first one says, is the term that refers to the different tools the teacher uses to gauge the progress of the students in order to make informed decisions, etc. So this is not the right answer, because it says in order to. Teacher, I have the feeling I disagree with you, because I think we can make some decisions based on testing. But what I'm saying is that you test in order to make decisions. And that is not true according to main scholars. The main objective of testing is not making decision. Probably that is the objective of assessment, and especially evaluation, and testing like could be part especially of assessment. But again, if you say that you test your students in order to make decisions and make changes, that is not accurate. Number 3 says this term refers to the system that the teachers use in order to give a numerical judgment to students and has a cognitive and human development component. No, because it says it has a human development component. No, this is not a clear feature or part of testing. And this is one of the drawbacks of it. This term refers to a wide array of strategies that teacher has to know the progress. The teacher has to know the progress of learners. This includes tests, oral presentations, discussions, role plays, portfolios, and others. Of course, I am defining. I know that you feel confident to say that I am defining assessment. But the second one says it refers to a series of tools and methodologies that the teachers utilizes to estimate that the teacher utilizes to estimate the student's progress. Okay, cognitive development, competences, skills, not the human development. Okay. Well, here I think there is not much to say about this particular item, although I'm gonna go through it. The idea was to match some reasons why teachers, an important number of teachers sometimes refuse to give tests to our students. Some researchers found reasons for this, like why do teachers refuse to give tests to students? And this is a very common issue. Like some teachers say, why should I be given tests if I know, in real life, in my everyday teaching, I know how my students are doing, and I could provide evaluation or assessment of their progress. I don't need a test. Like I know that my students are speaking or not, they have the competence or not. But there are some reasons, not only I know how my students are doing, but there are also other reasons for not doing that. So if you feel that at a certain point you wouldn't like to give tests to students, you're not alone. Okay, the first one says teachers consider testing too time consuming, taking away valuable time classroom. Let me see. Here I could say, for example, I prefer to spend that time on topic discussion. I can do something, more interesting than that. They identify testing with mathematics and statistics, and there's one option that says like, I am a language teacher, that's it, or I teach people how to communicate, something like that. Testing goes against humanistic approaches to teaching. There is one option in which I say, like, how can I evaluate that students can understand other points of view or other ways of thinking with testing, and that is true. Like, this is one of the disadvantages of it. They have gotten little guidance. Oh yes, I say here that when teacher says, well, at least in university I received some training, blah blah blah, something like that. Teachers feel that the time and effort they put into writing and correcting tests is not acknowledged. Yes, I think that is the one that says, I don't work 22 hours, I work 30 hours or more. Testing can be as frightening, and oh yeah, testing is frustrating for teachers because sometimes we devote a lot of time, to write exams. I was speaking about this, saying that writing an exam is time consuming. Like, there are many things that you have to take into account. You can spend hours designing a good exam, and then students fail. Like, you give the exam to students, especially speaking about high school students, you spend some time, and then students fail. Okay. A common well-known drawback of CLT is, I think probably this is kind of challenging question. It allows for mistakes and may fail to develop. Okay, according to many scholars, this is the problem. This might be the problem of CLT, is that it does not address mistakes in the proper way, in the sense that it allows, for mistakes, and the benefits of communication. Because the second one says it focuses too much on speaking and neglects the importance of. No, it does not neglect. This is the key word. I think, well, as far as I remember, some of you guys answered the second one, because of course it focuses a lot on speaking, or on oral communication. Speaking and listening would be, that would be speaking and listening, not only speaking. But it does not neglect, okay, the importance of the other two skills. It requires a native speaker. Yes, there are some methods that require a native speaker. It's not the case of CLT. It does not allow the use of the L1, and this is completely false. This is one of the characteristics of CLT, that you can use your mother tongue in the classroom if necessary. Of course, the right answer is the first one. According to what your classmates said in the presentation of classroom management, if you have a disruptive student and you intend to punish this student, the best idea is to punish the whole class so he or she doesn't feel judged. Well, they said completely the opposite. They said completely the opposite. They said, no, you cannot punish everybody because 1 or 7 students disrupted the class. Okay, that's a terrible idea, and we do that all the time. Like, especially in Colombia, we do that all the time. Like, nadie sale a recreo because some people were speaking. Nadie sale. Things like that. Uno para todo el mundo. Now that is not a good idea. CLT is a clear example of a structural syllabus. Well, I mean, I've mentioned some questions that might be challenging. I would say this is completely the opposite, because clearly CLT is all the opposite to a structural syllabus. Now, okay, what do these acronyms stand for? The first one is communicative language teaching, total physical response, teaching of English to speakers of other languages, content-based learning, and of course, the very famous, and Didáctica 2, the very famous content and language integrated learning.